Hi guys, PJ here. Today we're working on a 2010 Mitsubishi Shogun and I'm going to be showing you how to install a dash cam. Most dash cams have a fitting kit available for them, different brands, makes, etc. I highly recommend you do buy one because it's a nice replacement power cable that comes with an earth and a power on the end ready to put to your fuse box. Okay, so get yourself a fitting kit, eBay, Amazon, that type of place. Let's have a look what comes inside these fitting kits. So as you would expect, there's a replacement power cable. This particular one terminates there in a mini USB. Obviously different brands can be different, so make sure you get the correct one for your brand. And like I was saying, terminates in an earth that you put to the chassis. And there's a power just there. Look, this one's got a bullet connector on the end, ready to bullet connector it up. We get a ferrite filter, which we wrap round the power cable near the mini USB end. And this is to help with DAB radio interference, okay? Now, most likely your Mitsubishi Shogun hasn't got DAB unless you've got an aftermarket radio in it, so this may be useless, but we still fit it anyway. I'll show you how to fit it very shortly. It's very simple to do. Also comes with these things. These are called fuse spurs. These are very useful. Mitsubishi Shogun uses mini blade, which is this one. This one's only used on commercial vehicles and a few Mercedes. It's an older one now. Get rid of that. Don't need it. Now what this does is basically make one fuse slot into two. So if I can just get you to focus there, look. You've got a 2 or a 3 amp to run the camera, and then the slot next to it, the fuse that you take out of your fuse box plugs into there, and then this thing plugs into where you took your fuse from, making you a power out to connect to here. Nice and simple. So first things first, let's prepare the power cable. We're going to click this open. It's on a hinge. Yeah, so you basically just pop it and it opens up, and then you put your power cable through it, underneath it, and then back through it. So you loop it round and out again. We're also going to pop a couple of cable ties around the power cable where it goes across the top of the window screen, and that's to pad it out so that it doesn't drop down in front of your view while you're driving along. You know, if it's a big pothole or something, the last thing you want is a power cable dropping from your headlining and going in front of your view. So we're going to get on with that and just pad it out. So our power cable needs to end up like this. Okay, there's your ferrite filter. Like I say, it's popped open. So we've popped it open, put the cable through the middle of it, wrapped it around the underneath of it, and then back out again. So it loops the loop, look. We've then got our cable ties, and basically measured them out across the top of the windscreen, snip them off, and then I normally cover them in a bit of electrical tape just to pad them out because they're kind of a sharp edge and you don't want it sort of rubbing on the inside of your headlining, and over a period of time could make a mess of it. So we've got 3 cable ties. I'm going to tape up the other 2 and just lightly start tucking this under the headlining. Now the headlining on these is very flexible. It's made of a fibre substance, so you can sort of pop your fingers under it and just sort of ease it away to tuck the cable up behind it. Seeing as we're just pulling the headlining forward, I'll just quickly point out what I class as the ideal set of tools to do this job. The electrical tape to wrap the cable ties in, plastic leverage tool, it's probably the most important tool here to be honest with you. Very firm plastic, basically it stops you using a screwdriver. If you use a screwdriver on car trim, plastic car trim, it tends to leave a dint and a mess, so these things are great. These are about £1, £2 from eBay, Amazon, that type of place. Some cable snips. Some long nose pliers. I use these for pulling the fuses out of the fuse box. They're quite recessed and hard to get to. The vehicle comes with like a little plastic clampy thing that you clamp on the fuse to pull them out, but they're fairly hopeless. So if you're doing, well, like I'm doing a lot of these, so a pair of long nose pliers is what I always use. Last of all, either a multimeter or a test probe screwdriver. So you know one of those little screwdrivers with a bulb in the end where you touch it on a circuit and it lights up? That'll do fine, or a multimeter. Right, back onto the window screen. So this is the headlining here. Now, this vehicle's had a replacement window screen in the past, so when they sort of put the Bondo that they put in, it sort of stuck the headlining to the Bondo. So we're going to use a plastic leverage tool just to pull it away. Normally you can get your fingers behind it and pull it, but this was sort of stuck. So you can normally get your finger edges and do it. But run your cabling all the way along, like I say, the rear view mirror just here. And there we go. There's your power cable. So we've gone all the way along until we get to here, and then we're going to drop it behind this and then go all the way down the edge. Nice big gap to put your cable behind, and on this particular model no airbags behind the pillar here, so nice and easy. Sorry about that, we have a boy racer going past. Very noisy. Right, let's pop our power cable over here. Like I say, if there's an airbag, you go behind the airbag, so you sort of put your finger behind it and tuck the power cable behind it. This one hasn't got one, so it's not a problem. We're going to tuck it in across the top using our plastic leverage tool across here, and then feed it all the way down until we get to this section here of dashboard. Next up, we're going to pop this little cover off. Some poppers. There you go. Can be fiddly when doing it one-handed. And what we've done is basically run our cable to the end here, and then tuck the black wire, the earth, up through here, so it pops out here. And then you've got two 10mm bolts. You can use either of these as an earthing point by basically popping your earth cable to whichever one you want to use. With the bolt removed, I've put a ring terminal on the end of the black black earth cable there, and a washer behind it, just so that it sits nicely in the hole where the bolt came from. You don't have to do this, of course. You can use the original horseshoe terminal. It's just that I do literally, well, hundreds of these things every year, and the horseshoe terminals can work loose or snap over time, so I normally put something a bit more solid on there. Next up, guys, is which fuse to use. Now, with your ignition off and using your test probe or your multimeter, like I am, you get a little diagram on the back here, look, for your fuses. It's quite handy. We're not going to use anything to do with airbags or ABS or ECU or anything like that. It's got the auxiliary position. Now, I've done a lot of these over the years, and all the UK Euro ones, I use this 10 amp fuse right here. So we touch the probe on the end, 0 voltage, pop the ignition on, and that will show 12 volts. And that is the fuse I'm going to be using. So what I'm going to do is make sure the ignition's off and pull that fuse out. And there's the 10 amp removed from the fuse box and popped into the fuse spur. We now get the fuse spur, if I can get the camera up at a decent angle, and we pop it in that way, upright. Like so. Just there, look, shoved in. There we go. Now is a good time to test your camera. Now let's pop the ignition on. Give it a second, because they are completely flat when they've been in storage. And there we go, on it comes. And that, guys, is how you fit a dash cam to one of these vehicles. Thanks for watching, bye for now.